Joy. Ok, vamos a leer un capítulo, Amy y yo y Pia, The Life of Fred. Estamos en cuarto de primaria. ¿Cómo se llama el libro, Amy?
Kidneys.
Kidneys. Ok, vamos a ver. Ay, Joy ya dejó de comer por ver la cámara. Ok, ahí va. No. The guide announced that the tour was almost over. The last thing was a chance to see the president. The president of what? Of the university?
Mm-hmm.
Fred got excited. It would be his opportunity to tell the president to sound the all-clear siren. What was the siren about?
About a cow.
A cow?
Uh-huh.
What did the cow do?
Nothing. It was supposed to be a rhino, but it was a cow. Yeah?
They walked down a long hallway with many doors on each side. One of them was marked garden room. The woman with the camera opened the door and peeked in. The smell of all the flowers was overwhelming. The movie room had a giant theater screen and one seat. The game room was filled with video games, a pool table, and thousands of arcade games. The snack room had a popcorn machine, a pizza oven, a sluice machine. Do you want to tell them what sluice is?
Sí.
¿Qué es?
Es un ¿cómo se dice? Drink, sí, que es como unas gotas de agua con un vaso lleno de azúcar.
De azúcar, guacala, ¿verdad? An ice cream maker, a donut machine, and a score of vending machines that dispense cookies, crackers, and candy. Mira que viene ahí donde dice score. ¿Qué es eso que dice ahí? ¿Qué es ese simbolito?
Score's a 20.
Una... Ay, no puedo mover la cámara porque no soy buena en esto, pero viene una estrellita y abajo dice, a score is 20. A dozen is 12. A brace is 2. If someday you have to go to the dentist to get your teeth straightened, you might receive a brace of braces. Why?
Because it's
How many is a brace?
2?
2. So if you get a brace of braces, what would that mean?
2.
2. One on the top and
The bottom.
one on the bottom. So a score was how many?
20.
None of the vending machines required money to operate. All you had to do was push the buttons. The legroom was one of the larger rooms. Oh, they were in the boat? The boat with the duck? What boat were they in?
They were in a boat.
Oh, they were in a boat. It's because I haven't read it. She reads it all by herself. And today I'm helping out because sometimes that happens, you know? Sometimes you just want your mom to read you the book. So that's what we're doing right now. So anyway, at the end of the long hallway, the tour guide announced, and this is our president. She pointed to an oil painting on the wall. Some of the tourists glanced at the painting. One of them said, "Nice boat." None of them were eager to actually meet the president. His mansion was interesting. And remember, people, this is the president of the university of the book that we're reading, okay? No politics allowed right now. Anyway, oh, she's crying. What? His mansion was interesting. Being rich doesn't make a person interesting. The 19 tourists left the building. Fred turned to the guide and said, "I really need to see the president. It's university business." She took off her sunglasses and looked at Fred. "I recognize you. You are Fred Gauss. I took it." Gauss, yeah, he's German.
I thought it said Goss.
Well, in English it would be pronounced Gauss, but he's German, and so his name is Gauss. I think it says this in one of the books. That's why they tell you so many German words. Because
They do?
Stanley Schmidt, the author, he was German, and he knew how to speak German, and so that's why we find German throughout the book. So anyway, you're Fred Gauss. I took advanced algebra from you last year. At first I thought you were just some little kid. Fred didn't know what to say. He was a kid. He was little. The tour guide continued. The president only does 2 things. He gives speeches and he pushes the tornado warning siren button. Since that button has already been pushed, the only university business would be if you wanted him to give you a speech. Fred had heard many of the president's speeches over the last 5 years. They were long and boring, and they all sounded alike. He wasn't here to ask for another speech. I'm here to ask him to sound the all-clear siren. There is no tornado danger. The president pushed the tornado warning button because he was told that there was a giant rhino running around on campus. He was misinformed. The giant rhino turned out to be a very gentle cow. The president is a very busy man. He has to give speeches at the beginning and end of the school year, and he has to push the tornado warning button. Can you imagine how busy he is giving speeches and pushing tornado buttons? He can't be expected to perform other activities such as sounding the call all clear siren. Besides, he is not here right now. After he pushed the tornado warning button early this morning, he got on his private jet for a much-needed vacation to Anaheim, California. A million thoughts went through Fred's head. He's very busy. He gives the same 2 speeches every year. I teach from 8 to 5 every day, except for the 5-minute break from 3 to 3:05. Fred was much too polite to say these thoughts aloud. If you can't say something nice,
don't say
anything at all. Instead, he asked, how does the all-clear siren get sounded if the president doesn't do that? She smiled. Easy, that's part of my job. She turned and pressed a button on the wall. The president also mentioned that there will be a school holiday until he gets back from his vacation. Would you like that school with holidays all year round?
Yes.
You would? Or you would get bored?
I would.
You would?
Yes.
I would get bored. And I wouldn't want to pay a university that doesn't teach me anything. When will he get back? He'll be gone until graduation day. Can you imagine? Which is 10 days from now. He has to give a speech at the graduation ceremony. Fred could not believe it. That means classes are canceled for the rest of the semester. My beginning algebra class will never learn about absolute values. My advanced algebra class will never learn about permutations. My trig class will never learn about the polar form of complex numbers. So here we have another star. Do you want to read the star? These are the last topics in each of these courses. The tour guide shrugged her shoulders. I guess those trig students will never learn about the polar bear form of complex numbers. Is that what Fred meant? The polar bear? Fred explained. It's the polar form, not the polar bear. You were in my advanced algebra class. You learned that x to the 5th power meant x times x times x times x times x. That means the x, how many times?
X times 5.
5 times. Very good. So 2 to the 5, for example, is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. She asked, what's that got to do with the polar form? When you get to the last part of trig, you will solve the equation x to the 5 equals 32. That's duck soup. What does duck soup mean?
No, why duck soup?
There is another little star at the end of the paper we can read, and it says,
It's an idiom.
It's an idiom. It has nothing to do with cooking ducks in water. Duck soup means something that is easy to do. The expression entered the English language somewhere between 1910 and 1915. Everyone knows that if x is equal to 2, then x to the 5 will equal 32. Fred smiled, but there are 4 other numbers which will make x to the 5 equal 32. You can find them using the polar form of complex numbers and the Moivre theorem. She thought for a moment and said, that's nuts. If you stick any number bigger than 2 into x to the 5, you will get an answer bigger than 32. For example, 3 to the 5, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 243. If you stick any number smaller than 2 into x to the 5, you will get an answer that is smaller than 32. She took out her calculator and computed 1.9 to the 5, which is 1.9 times 1.9 times 1.9 times 1.9 times 1.9, and got an answer of 24.76099. So she asked, are any of those other numbers that make x to the 5 equals 32 true? Are any of those other numbers larger than 2? No, none of them are greater than 2. So those 4 other numbers are all less than 2? No. And of course, those other 4 numbers are not equal to 2, Fred answered. What a red-hot minute. she exclaimed. You can name a number that is not larger than 2 or smaller than 2 or equal than 2. Tell me, I need to know. Is this interesting or what? Can you imagine? If it's not greater, if it's not smaller, and if it's not equal, what does he mean? Do you want to know? I want to know too. Fred was silent for a moment. Can you see why I'm so sad that I won't be able to teach this last week of trig? Are we going to wait until trigonometry to find that out? Or do you think he's going to tell us in other chapters? Is he?
What's trigonometry?
Trigonometry is one of the parts of math, and we're going to learn them. We're going in order. So we have like arithmetic, and then we have pre-algebra and algebra and calculus and geometry and trigonometry, but that's all math. Okay, so now we did most of these answers. We just went back because we had to sort of read about them. But now we can see number 6, which we didn't know the first time that we read it, which is, what does number 6 say?
How much does 4 score equal?
So to know that, what do we need to know first?
20.
How much a score is, which is 20. And then what do we need to do to the 20?
4 times 20?
4 times 20, exactly. So we will do that, and we will keep answering our questions, right? Was that fun? Yeah, was that fun? Okay, thanks for joining us. And then Joy is now asleep. I think math bored her. Bye.